Dave, if you're trying to say something, you're still muted.
Yep. Okay. Well, welcome to MBRRE's third Thursday online program for Thursday, September 17th. We are streaming live on Facebook, and for those of you who are attendees on our Zoom program, welcome, and hopefully you got in okay. A couple of things. First of all, for those of you who are attendees, you have a couple tools available to you. You can chat using the button at the bottom of your screen, and that will open up a side window where you can carry on a text conversation with everybody who's attending the group, or you can direct a comment to an individual attendee or participant. There's a Q&A button that down at the bottom of your Zoom screen that will allow you to ask questions, and I'll try to monitor those and as we go along. There's a raise hand thing somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where it is. We're kind of new to all this. So anyway, I just want to make a few announcements before we get started. First of all, for those of you who are MASPA members, membership renewals are underway. We've had about 200 people already renewed, and the renewal process right now is strictly with online. You should have received an email reminding you to renew. We'll be sending out another one next week. There's also a link on the membership tab of our website that will allow you to renew. If there's, I'm sure there's probably a few people out there who don't really want to do online credit card transactions, and if you really want to renew by check, that's fine, but please wait until we mail out the renewal notices in mid to late October before you pull out your checkbook and mail in a check. Few things on the excursion front. First of all, our Lockmere Limited excursion from Meredith down to Silver Lake Road near the Lockmere Country Club in New Hampshire is on Saturday, October 31st. That's Halloween. And we will be requiring face masks and practicing safe social distancing throughout. So this is my opportunity to put in a pitch for the official MBRRE face mask. These are super comfortable, and hopefully the writing is facing the right direction. You can order these right from the homepage of our website. There's a link there. $15 for one, 25 for two, 35 for three, 45 for four, 50 bucks for five. And they are really super comfortable. So show your pride, wear them, and proceeds benefit MBRRE. So on the Lockmere Limited trip, unfortunately the parlor car, which we're limiting to only 16 seats so we can maintain proper distancing, is sold out. And but we do have an ample supply of coach seats. We're hoping we'll have 60 or 70 passengers on board for that trip at least. Also, good news about Steam in the Snow on January 2nd. Conway Scenic is very eager to operate the excursion for us with the 7470. We're finalizing arrangements with the railroad. We hope to have that finished up in the next few weeks, and tickets should go on sale mid to late October. Upcoming programs next month on October 15th, Dan Howard will be doing a presentation of short lines in Western New York. For those of you who had signed up for Jim Fetchero's trips out there, this will be a bit of a substitute. You'll at least get to see some of what you missed this year. The first Tuesday in November will be November 10th, which is actually the second Tuesday, because the first Tuesday is Election Day. And that'll be a members night. So if you have a short program that you'd like to throw up on the screen for everybody, please contact us and let us know. We had 4 or 5 presenters last month that actually worked out really well. Thursday, November 19th is our annual meeting, which this will all be online only. Our annual meeting and election of officers will be at 7:30, followed by Gene Fox, who will be giving an update on the South Coast Rail project. As you know, that is in very serious construction phase at this time. Then Thursday, December 17th is our classic railroad film series. The movie is going to be Danger Lights. More details about that in Callboy or on our website. And due to the nature of the fact that this is a commercially made film, we'll be streaming it live on the Zoom webinar, but we will not be streaming it on Facebook or putting it up on YouTube. So look forward to that. So we move on to today's program. If anybody has any questions, type them in and I'll try to answer them. You can type that fast. But I want to just move right on to tonight's program. We're pleased to have with us finally, after postponements in March and June. Who knew this thing was going to go on as long as it did? Derek Carter, who will be familiar to some of you who have attended Boston chapter meetings or our own Bass Bay Third Thursday meetings back in the dark ages when we used to do those live. And Derek's program tonight is a colorful look at rail action in England and Scotland from his trip to the United Kingdom in 2017. So before I turn it over to Derek, I'll just remind you, after the meeting, I'm going to try to figure out how to open up the participation to everybody that, even if you just signed up as an attendee. Hopefully I'll figure out how to do that during the course of Derek's program. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this. I've seen a few snippets of it, and it probably lasts about an hour and a quarter, thereabouts. So anyway, Derek, the floor is yours, and take it away.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I hope you like my background image here. That is not in this show, because that's from previous trips back in 2013. But let me pull up today's show. Okay, so we start off at the Manchester Airport, where we have a Northern Rail Class 323 EMU on the left. And I guess I can't remember the one that's on the right here. Also at the Manchester Airport is one end of a branch of the Manchester tram system, which is known as Metrolink. And so this is a Bombardier M5000 tram, and it's signed to run to Deansgate, Castlefield. And this is a Trans-Pennine Express Class 185 EMU departing from the Manchester Airport heading to Middlesbrough. And in the background, you can see the tram line heading off. And on the left is an Arriva Trains Wales Class 175 DMU, which is departing on track 4. And then on the right is a Northern Rail Class 319, which is arriving on track 1. So now we move over to Manchester Piccadilly Station. And this is one of the original train sheds at the station, which was built in 1882. This is inside the train shed at Manchester Piccadilly. And just outside the train shed are a pair of Virgin Trains Class 390 EMUs. And here's Virgin Trains number 390-153 departing Manchester Piccadilly en route to London Euston. And this is an 11-car EMU. So there are actually sort of two groups of platforms on Manchester Piccadilly. Most of them are stub end platforms located under the train sheds. And then on the left here is a single 2-track platform for through trains. And on the right here is a Northern Rail Class 323 pulling out of Manchester Piccadilly, headed to Alderley Edge. And it's passing a TransPennine Express Class 350, which is stopped at the other platform. And here's another Northern Rail Class 325 approaching Manchester Piccadilly. And another Northern Rail train, which is on a through service to Manchester Airport. And this is an East Midlands trains. This is actually a combination of a Class 158 and a Class 156. And those are pulling out of Manchester Piccadilly, headed to Sheffield. Some of the ironwork underneath the train shed at Manchester Piccadilly. This is a Northern Rail Class 150 at Manchester Piccadilly at the back of the train shed. Outside the station and below it is a Metrolink tram heading into the tram station, which is underneath the main platforms. This is another shot of the Manchester tram network, about a block away from Manchester Piccadilly. And back outside the Manchester Piccadilly again. All right, so this is my second day in the UK, where I took a train from Manchester to Blackpool for the day. For some unknown reason, the train I was on terminated at Preston, which it was not supposed to do. So I did get a few photos here, which I had not planned to get originally. And Virgin Trains number 221142 is a 5-car Class 221 Super Voyager DMU, built in 2002. And I believe that was going to head on a morning service to London Euston. All right, and about 10 minutes after we all got kicked off the train at Preston, here came our replacement train, which had a Northern Rail Class 150 in the lead and a Class 142 coupled behind it. So this is the interior of the Class 142. These are basically buses on rails. And they are currently being phased out of service. And here we are at Blackpool. And so this is the 142 that I rode on from Preston. And there it goes, pulling out of Blackpool North en route to Manchester Victoria Station with an incorrect roll sign on the end. And there's the Class 150 at the rear. So as you can see at Blackpool, they still had a bunch of semaphore signals in service. Unfortunately, those are all gone now because they were in fact busy electrifying that route while I was there. And of course, Blackpool has its famous tram line, which is the only first generation tram system left in the United Kingdom. This is, of course, one of their newer trams. So this is a place called Talbot Square, and the switches there are not currently in use. They were put there when they did track work a few years ago to future-proof it for an extension that they plan to make over to Blackpool North. And this is a view of Blackpool North Station from the Blackpool Tower. As you can see, at the time, they had removed 2 of the platforms at Blackpool as part of the electrification process. I believe they rebuilt them. And this is one of their heritage trams at Blackpool. Number 723 here is a balloon car built by English Electric in 1935. And Blackpool has several dozen historic cars still in its fleet, and they bring them out on various occasions. They also run a few every day, just in regular service up and down part of the line. And so this is a loop at Pleasure Beach that we're at. This is the upper deck of balloon car number 723. The ceiling is quite low in there, as you might expect given the clearances in the UK. And here's a pair of balloon trams at Pleasure Beach. These were originally built the same time, but of course, decades of modifications have resulted in them looking slightly different from each other. This is riding one balloon car and passing the other one near Pleasure Beach. In the background, you can see an amusement park along the waterfront. This is tram 010 at Pleasure Beach, which I rode down to Stargate, which is the south end of the line. So this is at Stargate, which is the south end of Blackpool's tram system. And the track goes from double track to single track here for a loop that goes through the car barn's car wash. However, the in-service trams only go far enough into the loop to clear the switch and then they change ends. And so here, 010 has already changed ends and it's coming back down onto the northbound track. And so the Stargate Depot here was built in 2011 to handle the Flexity 2 fleet. And it can store 20 trams, although there are currently only 16 Flexities in Blackpool. This is the Rigby Road Depot, which was built in 1935, and today houses the Heritage Fleet. And you can see various heritage trams in there, and a few maintenance of way vehicles. Here's one of the balloon cars heading south past Manchester Square. Off in the background on the left is Blackpool Tower. Also at Manchester Square again, looking the opposite direction. And this is one of the Flexity trams, number 5 at North Pier. And this is back in Manchester at night. And this is a westbound train passing under the approach signals just west of Manchester Piccadilly Station. So this is the following day, which was August 26th of 2017, with Arriva Trains Wales number 175002 arriving at Manchester Piccadilly. The first stop on its trip to Llandudno. And so this is a 2-car Class 175. The Class 175 DMUs have been configured with varying numbers of cars. And this is at Llandudno Junction with a Class 150 number 230 waiting in the background. And that one is signed for, I'm going to mispronounce the first part of this, Blaenau Festiniog, where a connection can be made to the Festiniog Railway. So this is the view from Conway Castle. And the line to Holyhead runs right by the base of the castle. And this is one end of the Conway Railway Bridge, which was built in 1848 and is the last surviving tubular bridge designed by Robert Stephenson. And the pylons at either end of the bridge were designed to match the castle. So there you can see all 3 bridges across the River Conway. From the left, you have the 1958 Highway Bridge. In the middle is the 1826 Conway Suspension Bridge. And on the right is the 1848 Conway Railway Bridge. And here's another view of the railroad bridge. And so this is a Virgin train service to Holyhead, passing below Conway Castle. And it has a pair of Class 221 DMUs. Now, normally this train would have come up from London Euston, but that station was closed that day for prep work related to High Speed 2. So I'm not sure where it actually started from. And this is an Arriva Trains Wales service from Holyhead to Chester. And an Arriva Trains Wales service to Birmingham New Street arriving at Conway with number 150-285 in the lead. And so that's the rear of the same train as it pulls out of Conway and passes under the old city wall. They rebuilt the wall there in 1847 to accommodate the Chester and Holyhead Railway when that was being built. And this is Conway Station. You can see a little bit of the castle in the background. Conway is, surprisingly enough, a flag stop. Even though you would expect that there'd be plenty of people wanting to get off here since it's the station next to the castle, as we're just getting off at Llandudno Junction, which is what I did, and then walking across the bridge. And this is another two-car Class 175 DMU at Llandudno Junction, heading off to Cardiff Central. And this is back at Manchester Piccadilly, with a couple of Northern Rail Class 156 DMUs, which have basically been parked in the station for the night. And the following morning is a Northern Rail train crossing over Sackville Street in Manchester, which is just west of Manchester Piccadilly Station, and it's heading over to the Oxford Road Station. And now we go to Crewe. And this is a London Midland number 35247. This is Crewe Station seen from the south end of Platform 5. And the station was first established in 1837 by the Grand Junction Railway. And most of the current station dates from when the London and North Western rebuilt it in 1867. Virgin Trains number 390-114 arriving at Crewe on a southbound train. And Virgin Trains 221-116 pulling out of Crewe on its way to Holyhead. This is North Junction at Crewe. The line to the left is the line to Chester, which was opened in 1840. In the middle is the West Coast Main Line from London to Glasgow, which dates from 1837. And on the right is the line to Manchester, built by the Manchester and Birmingham in the 1840s. And right in the middle here is the Crewe Heritage Center and the North Junction Signal Box, which was built in 1939 with thick concrete walls to withstand bombing campaigns during World War II. And this is an Arriva Trains Wales Class 150 arriving at Crewe on a Chester to Crewe Express. And so this is taken from the North Junction Signal Box, which is part of the Crewe Heritage Center Museum now. And this is the Crewe Heritage Center seen from the roof of the signal box, which does have a rooftop viewing deck for watching the action on the West Coast Main Line. Here's an Arriva Trains Wales Class 150 approaching Crewe on a Manchester Piccadilly to Milford Haven service. And this is a London Midland train from Liverpool Lime Street to Birmingham New Street, approaching Crewe North Junction on the West Coast Main Line. And this is Virgin Trains 390-157 arriving at Crewe. So one of the more interesting exhibits at the Crewe Heritage Center is Advanced Passenger Train number 370-003, which was the last surviving APT. And this project dated to the mid-1960s, but the trains only ran intermittently between 1980 and 1986 due to the immense troubleshooting needed for all of the brand new technology developed for them. Although the train itself was a failure, some of the technology still survives because the active tilt technology was licensed to Fiat Ferroviaria in Italy, which developed it into their Pendolino tilting technology, which is used, among other things, on the Class 390 trains that pass next door on the West Coast Main Line. And this is diesel locomotive number 57311 and Virgin Trains Class 390 at Crewe. And the diesel there is a rescue locomotive. So if one of the other trains breaks down the line, it can go out and fetch it. And it has several different couplers arrayed on either end, so it can hook up with whatever train is having problems. And this is a cruise station in the afternoon. All right, so back in Manchester again, the following morning. And we can see a Class 142 DMU, a couple behind another type of DMU on a Northern Rail train, most likely headed on a Manchester Airport to Bolton service. And this is at Manchester Oxford Road. Northern Rail 150, 119 and 156, 421 pass each other at Oxford Road. And now we briefly visit Sheffield, where we see an East Midlands trains Class 158 that's bound for Liverpool Lime Street. And I had to change trains here on my way from Manchester out to Nottingham. And this is East Midlands trains number 222011 at Sheffield, 10 minutes before departure for London St. Pancras. And I rode it as far as Long Eaton. So this is at Long Eaton, where we see a cross-country Class 170 passing on a Cardiff Central to Nottingham service. So I have a friend who at the time was living in Long Eaton, and I spent a few days in his guest room. And here's East Midlands Class 222-007 departing Long Eaton, heading towards Derby. Another cross-country DMU at Long Eaton, bound from Nottingham to Birmingham New Street. So now we're going to go on a brief diversion from trains. So outside of Nottingham is Papelwick Pumping Station, which was built in the early 1880s as part of its water supply system. And so this, it came in under budget, so they used the surplus to make the whole site look beautiful. And so this is sort of Victorian engineering at its finest. Everything there is still original. They've never modified it while it was in operation. And after it was decommissioned in the early 1970s, it was almost immediately converted into a museum. And the fountain in the pond here is actually the cooling water return from the steam engines, which were built by James Watt and Company in 1884. So they power up Papplewick pumping station on holiday weekends a few times each year. And during those days, sometimes you see stuff like this working model of a traction engine, which I saw puffing around the grounds. We also have a live steam railroad there. So this is what the inside of the pumping station looks like. As you can see, they spared no expense on making this place look beautiful. You have stained glass windows, beautiful decorations on the support columns, and lots of polished brass and copper fittings. So this place was steampunk before steampunk was cool. Okay, so this is the 1882 Midland Railway Station in Bakewell. It was built in a much grander style than a town of Bakewell size would typically justify, as it happened to be the closest station to the Duke of Rutland's seat at Haddon Hall. And the station was closed in 1967 due to the beaching cuts. And the line there was abandoned between Matlock and Buxton the following year. And the right-of-way is now used for the Monsell Trail. And this is Headstone Viaduct in Monsell Dale. And this is looking down into the Vale of Edale from a small hill just west of Mantor. And you can see down in the valley an East Midlands trains service running from Liverpool Lime Street to Norwich along the Hope Valley line. And this is in Nottingham proper, with tram number 219 arriving at the University of Nottingham station on its way to Toden Lane. And this is one of the Alstom Citatus trams built in 2013 for the Nottingham Tram's extensions to Toden Lane and Clifton South. This is an Old Market Square in Nottingham, where the operator for tram number 215 is throwing the points on the crossover so the tram can change ends. They were doing some track work just north of this location. So the tram service was split in half, with the tram lines to the south terminating here at the Old Market Square, and then the other branches from the north terminating, I believe, at a point called the Forest, which was several blocks away. And this is the tram station at Old Market Square. When they built the tram line here about 15 years ago now, they converted this road so it's just trams and service vehicles now. And on the left here is one of the original trams from when the line first opened. And this is tram 235 at the Old Market Square crossover. This is the tram station at Nottingham Station, which opened on July 27th, 2015. And the whole station here is built on a truss bridge going over the mainline station below it. And this is tram 206 heading down to street level after departing Nottingham Station. And so this is from the level of the mainline trains at Nottingham, where an East Midlands trains class 222 is waiting to depart for London St. Pancras. And overhead, you can see, just barely see a tram stopped at the station overhead. And here comes diesel locomotive number 50,008, named the Thunderer. And this is a preserved Class 50 diesel built in 1967. And one station south of Nottingham is a station called Beeston. And here you can see a Colas Rail Freight Class 60 heading through with a train of tank cars. And this is the original station at Beeston. This is Beeston again from the pedestrian bridge over the tracks. This is a cross-country train headed to Cardiff Central. And back at Long Eaton the following day with East Midlands trains number 43049 on a Sheffield to London St. Pancras train. And some of you might recognize that this is one of the high-speed trains that was built in, I think it was the 70s or 80s. And this is number 47848 on the siding at Derby. This is an East Midlands Trains Class 222 about to depart Derby on a trip to Sheffield. And this is a Class 153 DMU at Derby. And I rode this car over to Crewe. This is a cross-country Class 170 at Derby on a Nottingham to Cardiff Central service. And here we are at Crewe again with a Virgin Trains Class 221 arriving on an Edinburgh to London Euston service. And Virgin Trains number 390-134 arriving at Crewe on a London Euston to Glasgow Central service, which I took all the way up to Glasgow. And here we are at Glasgow Central. And here's a pair of ScotRail Class 314 EMUs arriving at Glasgow Central. And a ScotRail Class 156 DMU departing for Barrhead. Virgin Trains 390-134 Glasgow. You can see the platform here has quite a lot of curves in it. This is the main concourse at Glasgow Central. This is the outside of Glasgow Central Station. It originally was opened in 1879, with the current station dating from a 1901 rebuild. And the front of the station is the Central Hotel, built in 1883. This is Buchanan Street on the Glasgow subway, which opened in 1896. This is sort of a vest pocket subway. It's built to 4-foot gauge, and the trains are only 3 cars long. And I believe a single blue line car can hold just as many people as one whole train here. You can see how small the rolling stock is. Okay, this actually makes the tube trains in London look big. So the actual tunnels there are 11 feet in diameter. This is the interior of one of the subway cars. Not much headroom there. And this is at Cowcaddens. And so now we go to Stirling. And we can see a ScotRail Class 170 in a view taken from Stirling Castle. And this is Glasgow Queen Street. So this is the lower level platforms at Glasgow Queen Street, where we can see a pair of ScotRail trains passing each other under the tunnel to the west. This is the lower level platform at Glasgow Queen Street with ScotRail number 334015, which is heading to Cumbernauld. And here comes another ScotRail train, which I rode to Edinburgh. And here we are at Edinburgh. ScotRail Class 170 arriving at Edinburgh. So Waverley Bridge goes across the station here, and the formerly railway-owned North British Hotel, which is now the new Balmoral Hotel, is in the background. There's a ScotRail train departing Edinburgh. And here's a Class 170 and a Class 158 at Edinburgh. And there's still an escape track in the middle there. Not that there's any steam locomotives that need to be pulled out anymore. And here we can see a ScotRail Class 334 heading into the tunnel under the Scottish National Gallery on the final approach to Edinburgh. And this is taken from Edinburgh Castle. And so there's the entire Edinburgh station, which is officially known as Edinburgh Waverley Station. And there's a tram heading east on Princes Street in Edinburgh. So this is the east end of Edinburgh Waverley Station. Up in the background on the right is St. Andrew's House, which is where the Scottish Parliament meets. Edinburgh tram number 260 heading west down Princes Street. And this is another tram at the Princes Street station. ScotRail number 380-108 is approaching the mound tunnels which go under the Scottish National Gallery. And just on the other side is Edinburgh Waverley Station. And ScotRail number 334-027 passes underneath Edinburgh Castle on its final approach to Edinburgh Waverley Station. And this is under the train canopy at Glasgow Queen Street, which was first opened in 1842. And there's a ScotRail Class 170 departing Queen Street, bound for Stirling. And leaving the station, trains immediately head into a long tunnel here. ScotRail number 156506 at Queen Street. And a pair of ScotRail Class 170s at Queen Street. And that's it.
Get myself unmuted there. Thank you very much, Derek. Fascinating program. Things are really very colorful. What I want to do right now is I'm gonna I'm gonna stop recording first, and we'll stop the live